Hello and welcome back to another video. I'm Zelp and today we're going to take a look at Protea. I have this Warframe a while ago. It came in with the day one access back when I was their partner. But anyways, I found a really interesting way of playing her. And that's what content creators do. When we find something, we just couldn't resist in sharing. But first, I feel like I have to go through really quickly just how her abilities work. You know what? I'm just going to show you here. So our first ability has two. One is when you tap, it does this, and if I'm not mistaken, it does damage. I haven't really explored too much about this. Just a FYI, although I got her a really long time ago, I haven't actually played her that much. You can see that her rank is still 28. It's not even maxed out yet. It's just that I found this interesting way, and I feel like if more people know how to play her this way, more people like playing her. So I just want to share. Anyways, so that's her first ability. It does damage. I believe there's some form of CC as well. Damage wise, not very impressive, especially against armored enemies. The next part of the first ability though is a shield buff or a shield increasement where you hold down your first instead of tapping it. So what happens is there's like one of this grenades of hers that will go around you and gives you shield, and you can see at the top right, my shields are increasing a lot. And this gives me a form of survivability. Technically, what I'm going to show you don't really require you to use this because you'll be rewinding very often, and every single time you rewind, as long as when you started rewinding your health is somewhat decent, you'll rewind back to that particular health. And if you don't know what a rewind is, we're going to get there in just a bit. The second ability is this, where it kind of summons a turret. I think this is called Blaze Artillery, and it's really strong. The damage from this thing is super OP, I would say. The only drawback is that its duration is very short, and I am somewhat pumped with mods for duration, and it only lasts this long. The good thing about these turrets is, first of all, it has very good punch through. It does heat procs, so enemies that get hit by it, they'll enter that whole heat animation thing where they pretty much get CC and also take DOT damage. And the longer it hits, or the more times it hits an enemy, its damage increase. So if you look over here, you can see that the damage per hit increase is 100%. This means on the second hit, it does double the damage. On the third hit, I think it does triple. I'm not too sure how the 100% stacks. If not, it still does an extra 100 or extra damage off his original, which is still a lot. Another drawback about this ability is that it has an arc. You have to point at what you want to shoot, but other than that, this ability is very painful, and it's going to be one of our main DPS in the build that I'm about to show you. Now let's go to the third ability. The third ability is where it summons this thing that gives you health, and it'll give you ammo. This ammo works for all kinds, and it also gives you energy. So sometimes you get one, there is a chance where you can get more. You can see that these energy orbs give you 25 every single time, and if you're lucky, 2 might pop out that gives you 50. Now finally, we want to talk about the rewind ability, which is called Temporal something, and what it does is that the moment you start it, you have, at least in this case, because I'm on duration, I have about 15 seconds before it will rewind you, and it'll go back to your original state when you first activate it. So let me get some okay, so this is where I started, and I can go around and I can take damage. It doesn't matter. I can spam, I can use abilities, and all that will not count because when I rewind, it goes back to my original state when I first start. So my energy would be the same amount as when I click the fourth ability, my temporal something, and then yeah, basically everything. But the skills that's been spammed is gonna stay in the field. So like for example, this thing that I've used, and also if I have any of the turret thing, artillery on the field. Now let me just show you really quickly how strong the artillery is. So we're gonna pause some AIs over here, simulate, okay, get some. Now this is on 100% power strength, so I didn't add any extra power strength. However, we do have a decent amount of duration, and you're gonna see how much in just a bit. If you want to line them up because it has punch through, it could hit multiple enemies from this angle, But let's just say if we were to spam it over here, let's do 1 for now. Okay, so initially you don't see the damage going up really high, but as you can see, it goes up to 30 plus times, and then it just destroys them. And you could summon tree, so imagine if you have tree, how much more that damage is gonna do. So this is going to be your main DPS. Also, mind you, those are level 160 heavy gunners. Now the whole reason why I started playing Protea was actually because of the twin boss lock. Something just appeared in my mind that thought was really interesting, because the twin boss lock, I remember it has this, which is a rift strike. So I feel like this ability is very interesting because you can get from one point to another without actually walking there. And the moment when you use your temporal ability, your fourth ability, time starts to tick and you don't have much time to be spending walking around. So this one will get you right in front of the enemy that you want to kill or that you want to fight. In order to make it faster, I also use things like Killing Blow that have the heavy attack wind up time increased by 60%. So if you come over down here, you can see that the wind up time now is 0.4. Without Killing Blow, it's 0.7, which is a lot more noticeable. With Killing Blow, not only do you have the extra damage, but also you gain a speed up. If I were to use Amalgam Organ Shatter, that gives you another 60% heavy attack wind up speed. It actually doesn't help that much. For example, it only goes down by 0.1, so in my opinion, not really something that I want to have. You can have Life Strike on, since a heavy attack is going to give you an extra health life steal, so that would be also very nice to keep your health up. And then we have something just to give it some more status, because this is a very good status weapon. You can actually achieve more than 100% easily. Then we have this Carnis Nendible, which is something new to me, but I just saw it in my list of mods and decided to try it. Basically, it gives you immunity for 2 seconds and also extra 10% evasion for a bit. So the thing about the whole animation and everything is that once you reach there, you might be vulnerable. So this kind of keeps you alive, and so that you can spam your kit. Now reach is kind of interesting because I mentioned that I can knock enemies down when I use my charge attack. And what this means is that if you have a lot of enemies, let me just show you one simple one. So right now, without any reach, I can only hit this tree. So maybe you can think of like a plus sign or a circle around this character. So it's only just like that. It's kind of small, but if I have prime reach on, and again, the whole reason of using this is using it as a utility to move around a little bit faster. And if I have prime reach on, there you go. What you'll see now is that it could reach a lot more enemies. Let's just, there you go, 6 all the way onto this guy. So just try and picture a circle around this that covers that huge amount of area, which I think is really cool. Another thing that I kind of forgot to tell you guys is that the fourth ability actually pulls enemies together. So let's see if I can showcase over here. So let's say and whatever damage you do, you can see the tick numbers. This includes DOT as well, but all those damage will actually sort of like stored so that when you release it, it actually blows up, kind of cause like an explosion. Think of Mag's explosion, I guess. So as you do damage, it stores that amount of damage, and then when you release, it pulls the enemy and it also explodes, like some kind of like implosion thing. Okay, now let's take a look at the mods that I have for her. Remember again, she's not fully max ranked yet. She's only at 28. This means that her potential is even higher. But I want to show you this. So this is the build that I went and discovered this, and I find it pretty good. Especially if you're still new to her, this would help you a lot. So we have Streamline, we have Flow, just to give you that extra buffs so that in case if you mess up your combo, you won't be able to get stuck in a situation where you don't have enough energy to spam. Because if you play this right, you should be able to sustain your energy constantly, so you won't really run out of energy. And then we have a lot of duration. This build is something that I recommend if you're new, also because it has adaptation. And adaptation works really well with Protea because after the rewind, although everything kind of go back to its original state, the adaptation stays. I'm not too sure if this is intended, but because it stays, this means that you went out, you take a bunch of damage, you collected a lot of adaptation to different types of damage, and you have all kinds of 90% resistance, and then you come back, and the moment you come back, you have that with you and you have all your health. Other Warframes will have to sacrifice some form of shields or health in order to get their stacks up, but this one, in a weird way, she don't need to. So this really goes well with her. Now in my opinion, I feel like natural talent is almost a must because of how I'm playing her, or how I'm going to show you how I'm going to be playing her. And it revolves around spamming a lot of her abilities. Things like your fourth, your second, all this for the damage. And this means that you are going to be standing around idle a lot. If you don't have natural talent, those animation that freezes you can actually get you killed. So this is why I have natural talent on. I also find characters with natural talent a lot more fun because it feels a lot more fast paced in my opinion. And then again, with more duration. And finally we go with stretch, because if you want to use her in like the open world, you need the range. This attack has 43.5 meters at the current state with only one stretch, which is not bad. But if you want to go somewhere even larger like the open worlds, you actually want even more range in my opinion, and you can dial down on the damage, because as you can see, we killed a bunch of level 160 heavy gunners with just one ability. And to be honest, I think that is kind of overkill for the majority of the content, so you don't need that much damage. So I have a second build, and this one you should consider if you were to get used to her a little bit more. You go with Streamline, Fleeting Expertise at rank 3 or 4 is kind of up to you. The difference is fairly minor. This will bring down the cost of your ultimate to 30 drain, 30 mana, 30 energy in comparison to the first build, which is 70. So although this is 70, but because you have flow and you have about 443 energy, that keeps you going and allows you to make mistakes. That's why I recommend this as an initial build. The second build does not have adaptation, because if you play it right, you won't die anyways. You don't really need the adaptation. And this build, I kind of reduced my power strength to 40% with overextended to get the extra range, because remember the second ability, the turrets, artillery, is a cone shape. So you want to stand further away and then point at them instead of just going really close and right in the middle, because if you're right in the middle, you might need to cover all corners if you want to hit everything around you. And this is pretty much the main difference. We remove flow for Fleeting Expertise so that we can spam a lot more, and then also adaptation for overextended. I also changed up the aura. I put corrosive projection, but in my opinion, I feel like the aura debatable. Now, one of the reasons why having Fleeting Expertise and Streamline is a lot better than having flow is because her third ability gives you energy orbs. So if you time it right, you can replenish your energy with the energy orb and be on your way. If you have flow instead, you need to replenish even more energy because you are using more energy. You just increases the capacity, so that's the difference. Now when it comes to Arcane, I feel like Arcane Energize would probably be the best thing for her. I haven't really explored the Arcane simply because I don't have a lot of the good ones. Like here's Arcane Energize, I don't have it. And also the things that I do have, they're not maxed. There are some here that is very interesting that I really want to try, but I just couldn't. If you have extra, feel free to hit me up at Discord, let me know. Only if you have extra. I don't want you farming it, and then giving it away just because. Oh yeah, there is another weapon that I want to talk about a little bit, is the highest slam radius weapon. There you go, this one, the Master. And this one is interesting because you can put things like tag gravity And sadly, this is the only tech mod that I have. But yeah, eventually when I get them all, I want to try and use this instead. The reason behind it is that, you know, you can potentially pull the enemy together, and you can also kind of travel kind of far with this, right? Maybe not as fast as the blink, the drift thing, but it does feel also kind of safe because you'll be knocking them down, and if you want to use your charge attack, you actually cause them to float around. The question I have here is how strong the pull is. Is the pull really good? If it's really good like mag, or is it going to just like pull them in and they're going to fly everywhere, potentially move them away from the center even more? So that depends a lot as well. We have seismic wave here to increase the slam damage because we are just going to slam around with this thing. Okay, finally, the moment you guys are waiting for, the actual combo and sequence that I feel works really well with Protea. But first, a quick segue to my new channel where we talk about interesting life topics in the form of animation. Links at the description and also at the end scene. So you're gonna start off with, if possible, your first ability, and you're going to use it on the hole, so this will give you extra shields. So with the extra shields, obviously, you know, better survivability, but again, you don't really need to make this step or do this step because it's if you do it right, you're probably not going to die. Why? Because your rewind ability, your fourth ability, actually gives you immunity. So if you look at the top right corner on your health bar, if I use my fourth ability, there is a duration where I don't take damage. Okay, so back to the sequence again. You use your fourth, you spam this. Remember, you have to point at where you want to aim, and then you use your third. Okay, and then you rewind and then repeat. That's pretty much it. Okay, what makes this really good and sustainable is that I'm actually going to do it over here so I don't stand next to the energy orb. So let's think about this synergy again. When I use my Temporal, I take out the guns, does a lot of damage. It has fire, so therefore fire procs, they get CC'd. You are also somewhat safe, and since you're already in the Temporal, you are also safe. And then after that, you pull out this thing. You can wait until you see the ammo. When the ammo comes, you just rewind back. Make sure you take the energy orb after you go back. So you want to go back and take the energy orb. You don't want to take the energy orb while you're still using your fourth ability, because when you rewind, your energy will disappear as well. Okay, and that is just pretty much it. Okay, now I'm just going to show you me spamming that sequence over and over again and see how long we can actually last. If you're aware of your third ability, you can actually get the energy orb more frequently, because you can see that once it's out, once this 2 comes out, everything else is going to be things that you won, and in this case it's going to be energy, so it's just going to keep giving you energy orbs. Okay, let's do this again, because I feel like there's just so many things I wanna say that I keep messing up my synergy. But yeah, do this, point at the enemy, pull this guy out. Okay, make sure that you're welcome to spam, but just make sure that when you see the ammo come out, you go back so they can get this. Now at this point, you don't really need to summon your third again. All you have to do is just make sure you go back and collect the energy orbs, and then rinse again. And this will potentially keep you safe for a really long time. Go back, get an energy orb, come on. Okay, if you time it correctly, you can keep doing this over and over again. I'm gonna just like shut up and just do this. Okay, I'm making my new one. So the new one will have health and ammo. Make sure you go back right after the ammo so you can collect the energy. Come back, use it again. Rewind, take again. Oh, this is gonna take again. So yeah, getting familiar with the timing is gonna help. I think you get the picture. And occasionally, like I said, 2 energy orb will pop out instead of 1, and that will just get you back to full if you have good efficiency on your power. Now let's demonstrate with heavy gunners. We have 8 over here, I'm gonna simulate. So first thing you want to do, you want to get close. Oop, wrong button. So bring out 3, maybe more. Rewind. You can see that they're already dead. And then you're gonna, yeah, there's really nothing much to show. Okay, let me get a little bit more. Okay, so I've been trying a couple times because I keep messing up my combo, and hopefully I'm gonna get it right this time. We are going to have heavy. We're gonna have 20 heavy gunners. Okay, and let's see how this goes. Kill any remaining, summon the rest. I'm actually gonna go for one side. There you go. Bring this guy out. This would be ideal, if possible, that you go to one side and then you spam from one side. Okay, come back for some energy. So the problem here with my current situation is that I took the orb before or during my temporal. So when I rewind, those energy orbs just disappeared. So I'm actually losing a little bit of energy, so I would advise, you know, carrying some extra energy pizza plate. I want to try this one more time and then see if I can do it a little bit better. I feel like if my combo is right, it's not going to be a problem. Let's put one here, one here, one here. Get the healing thing. That's my shield gate. So the moment you hear the shield gate, you really want to use your temporal, because you don't want to be caught in a situation where you run out of. Ooh. Oh no, I took the energy orb again. Okay, there's the energy orb. So I'm gonna go back and then pick up the energy orb and then use it again. So yeah, it's just such a Warframe thing to do, to rush towards energy orbs the moment you see them. Okay, 20 corrupted heavy gunner died and I'm surviving. I did lose a little bit of energy, but I feel like that was my mistake over there. Still, again, I feel like this sort of like playstyle is really fun. I didn't really use my melee much there. I could use my melee, but since the idea here at least is to try and kill them as fast as possible, so instead of trying to attack them or CC them or dash to them, I use more of my second ability to just try and wipe them out. But I do think if possible, traveling with the rift from the twin Baslock, and also, or maybe using a jump attack, a slam attack, is actually more ideal to get from one place to another, simply because, you know, it CCs the enemy around you, also dash forward pretty fast, and I think it's just somewhat safer. I feel like I still have a lot of getting used to it, like not picking up energy orbs before my temporal ends, and also getting the sequence of the combo right. But if you can pull it off, it's relatively safe and you do a ton of damage, and also it's AoE, so it's really good. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think? Would you give this character a try? And if you do, let me know if you made any changes to my original idea, especially if you can make her even better. I would like to play her more often. Also, with the helmet system, what ability would you switch out in order to make her better? Okay, looking forward to the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.